Today we start another car for Superbird Diecast. So let's get to it. A Superbird Diecast put out a call for a build-off in honor of his grandfather. He's got 3 car choices that you can have and all that good stuff. But I wanted to do a Porsche casting, so that's why I chose this. And he also said his grandfather really liked Porsches. I don't have an old casting. This is a 96, but he said newer models would be okay. So I'm still trying to work out his grandfather's favorite color. We may just have to wing it. We'll see. I'm still waiting to find out. But before I do anything, I have to get this out of the pack. I have to get it taken apart, and I have to strip it. So let's get it out. All right, put that up. Put that up. Give it a second for it to do its magic. And starting, there it is. Now we want to stick something in there so it does not reseal itself, because we're going to be putting it back in there, because I'm actually going to send this car to him. Now we just got to get this drilled out and taken apart. It's actually a very nice casting. I love that green and everything, but we're going to swap it up, get rid of all these tampos and stuff on the side. Definitely do something about those wheels. The windshield and everything, of course, looks good because it's new, but I'm still going to put it in the glass sealer, make it a little bit more shiny, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Alright, there's that. Car, dab of oil on the post. And I know a lot of people don't go to the extreme of doing this, but I strongly, sorry about that. I strongly recommend doing it for the simple purpose, well, there's two reasons actually. Number one, it keeps your drill bits nice and sharp by lubricating it. And number two, because it's lubricated, your drill bit will not overheat, which in fact will cause it to dull. So they both do the same exact thing, but with that stated, one will actually keep it sharp and one will keep it cool. Now we just simply drill it out. Alright, there's that. Not much to it, just a nice little base. Of course, we got the new interior. We might have to do a little something with that steering wheel, and yeah, I don't know, we might have to do something with that interior, we'll see. Of course, we have the new glass, like I stated. We'll still coat that. And we have the body. Like, it's a nice casting and everything, but like I said, if it was just a solid green with like maybe a Porsche name down there or something, or like the name back here, because I hate that is going to go bye-bye, but nothing I can do about that. But right now I got to finish drilling these posts out, so no need you sitting here watching me do all that. We'll be back in just a minute. Now, as I always do, since I'm going to be using screws on this, I am going to file the edges of the pop rivets down, because that makes it easier to go back together. Now we just make sure the body goes back on without, I mean, it's okay, you could glue it in if you wanted to, and it's on there, but I like being able to take it apart easily. So for, you know, like when we're doing wheel swaps, or you know, just modifications, you know, checking things, I like to be able to take it apart and put it back together very easily. So that's why I do that. One of the reasons I do it. Another reason I do it is, like I said, it's just more professional looking if you use the screws. You don't have to, by no means. I'm not telling you that's what you have to do. That's just what I do. But I am seriously thinking about, after I'm running out of these 256 screws, switching over to 172s. And the reason for it is, you can see there's not a lot of room, and this is a modern day post. There's not a lot of room for mistake on there Whereas if I use the 172, I have more room. So I think I'm going to be switching over and just use the washers with these screws. So we'll see. And we'll just put the screws in it. And the drill bit size that I use with the screws that I use, I never end up having to tap mine. They always just go in very easily, as you can see, and I run them down as far as they'll go. And once it feels like they're tight, I'll take the tool back out, because these are real easy to twist, as you can see. Probably I've already twisted the head on this one just a hair, and I can always cut the head of the screws. Like that went in there pretty tight. I can try drilling, I can drill it out more. I've got plenty of room, but I'll just cut the tip of that screw off. It's no big deal. These are very easy to cut. Now if it was stainless, it'd be a little bit different. You can see how easily those screws go in. There's no need in me tapping. I have the tap for it and everything, but I just don't do it. And the reason you do this is to keep trash from the stripping process and everything out of it. Yeah, that's bottoming out. I'll just trim that off a little bit. Keeps trash out of it, keeps the stripper out of it, and it just makes it gives you your third hands, right? Something to clamp on. Alright, cleaning up some of this mess. I don't like a dirty workstation. That's just me. If you do, that's fine. That's your prerogative. I'm not telling you you can't have one. I just don't like one. You know, it's a shame to take a brand new Porsche and just totally tear it up. Thank God that's not a $100,000 Porsche, right? As promised, the glass looks really good. Looks like new, as a matter of fact, because let's face it, it's new. But we're still going to dip it in the sealer to try to make it look that much better, right? Because that's what we do. That's how we do things. That's how we roll. So here we go. Just going to dip it in, right? Get a nice coating on it. Then we're going to put it in our little case so nothing can get on it, no dust bunnies or anything like that. But you always want to wick off the extra. If there is any, just wick it off. And we're going to take that and set it down in the bottom. Cover that bad boy up. That keeps all the dust off of it, or anything, lint, you name it, can't get on there. Alright, now this bad boy's going to get a box of its own. I'm undecided about the wheels yet. I'm going to have to wait on the paint job, because depending on the paint job, I actually might just chrome these over or paint the wheels or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see what I'm going to decide on the paint job before I do anything with the wheels. And the interior is also going to be based on that, because it could stay black and because you're not really going to see it, or I can change it to like a tan to represent like a premium leather or something like that. You know, we'll just have to see. But she's in her own box. Body's in the stripper, windshield's drying. This goes up on the window sill, so it will be in its proper place. Alright, we've gotten this back out of the stripper, and look how good that come out. Now we still have to hit it with the wire brush, of course, and get in all the grooves and all that good stuff that gets the stripper out and any leftover paint, you know. But that's how good that stripper works if you leave it in there overnight. So let's get this taken care of. Got my brass bristle brush, and all we're going to do is just go around and hit all the cracks and stuff. And just basically clean it up, and then we're going to hit it with the steel wool. Alright, after we get that, we'll take the steel wool and let it work its magic. And we're not going for perfection, we're just looking to see what we have to work with. You never see a huge difference in that. Look at that, compared to that. So far it's looking pretty good, not a lot of scratches. I mean, you can see casting marks and everything, but that's to be expected with these cars. Paint and primer will fill all that in. And I actually like that this casting has mirrors on. A lot of them, they don't put mirrors on anymore, so That's going to really help with the overall look of this car. Because we're not going to be doing a lot of modification in this. This is basically going to be a wheel swap and a paint job. Just as a quick little build in honor of Superbird Diecast grandfather. Because he liked the Porsche. So, and I don't blame him. They're very nice cars. But there you go. There's that one stripped. Now all we got to do is decide what color paint I'm going to put on this, what wheels I'm going to put on it, and go from there. We'll test fit. Yeah, it actually looks pretty good just like that. But of course we're not going to leave it like that. We'll put it in here and then we're going to figure out about the paint, and that will be the next step. Alright, so I decided to go a different way with this car. Totally different way. The paint job that I decided to go with, you can just look at this finish on this, and it needs to be wiped off and everything, degreased, but you can tell what way I'm going with it. So it's not perfect, but the type of paint job that I'm putting on here is vintage, and that's what he's looking for, is a vintage car. So I'm gonna put a vintage type paint job on here. Now what I had originally envisioned is this, is putting some of the vintage redline wheels on there. But as you can see, these are bearing type wheels, so it needs bearings for it. I had a set of bearings with an axle on it, with axles on it, and I cannot find that daggum thing anywhere. I normally keep it in here with the wheels, but it has growed legs and walked away. So I'm gonna have to go a different route. So these definitely are not going to work, and I've got what I'm going to use in my hand. Because the type of paint job and everything I'm going to put on here, that just will not work. But I have these bad boys. Same size and everything, look at that. Not quite as deep, they're close. But I think with the type of paint job and everything I'm going to put on here, that these will work really good. So I need to make axle tubes because these are not long enough. So we gotta make room for the axle tube to go in because that's not big enough. So we gotta enlarge it. And one of the easiest ways, take a drill bit since this is plastic and just drill it through. Of course, get something to catch all your mess. Kind of angle it in so it catches the plastic. And that's really all there is to it. And your axle tube will go in there, and it sits down nice and tight. Now you just take a file and clean that hole up. Get rid of all that rough looking plastic. Okay. Just clean up the edges a little bit. And then now your axle tube will go right in here. Okay, fits perfect. Now what I gotta do is mark it and cut it. And I'm using aluminum this time because it's late at night and I'm doing this inside. So all you do is you mark it, cut to the left side of that line, and you're good to go. Now of course you want to double check your fitment, make sure it's not too big, and that's about perfect there. And that is roughly what it's going to look like. So now all I got to do is get the axle tubes glued in, the wheels on, and this will be a rolling chassis. Alright, now you want to lock it all in place. I've bent the one tab that's still there back over. I'm not going to put a bunch, just going to put enough to lock everything in place. And then we're going to hit it with the Instaset. Couple drops will do it. I know, y'all keep looking at this over here. I bought every one of these they had and was one short. There's only one place in town that sells these. So I'll have to wait for them to restock them and buy one more. So when you see that gap there filled, you'll know that they came in. But now we have us a rolling chassis. I went in and took the screws back out of it so you can see how it's going to look. I think that's going to look really, really good. What do you guys think? All the wheels turn really nice, as you can see. I think it's going to look really good. So I want to chrome the pipe tips. I'm going to leave the oil pan for the bottom of the pan for the bottom of the engine and everything that color. I'm not going to put a lot of detail in. I'm just going to hit the tailpipes. Absolutely love this marker. I need to get the smaller tip one too for getting the real small stuff down in there. I'll just give a little bit of a detail to the inside. I'm going to paint the shifter knob white. Just to give a little bit of detail to it. What is it, Coop? Good boy. Cause see, you're not gonna be able to see it anyway. The windshield looks good coated, don't it? Man, yeah. I mean, you can try all you want to look in there and you're not gonna see anything. That's why I don't spend a whole lot of time doing the interiors. I mean, yes, it really makes a difference when you're sitting here getting to see it like this. But if it's closed off like this one, and I'm not saying don't do it, by no means. I mean, it's fun to do. But if it's going to be closed off like this and you're not going to see it anyway, there's no need in spending a whole bunch of time doing that. Now, if it's where the windows are going to be open and you can look in there, by absolutely do it, yes. But for something like this, there's really no need. Alright, I guess by now you're wondering what color this is going to be. So, let me show you real quick. I've got it already loaded up in the airbrush gun. And we're going to sling some paint. So here we go. Doesn't look like much, does it? Well, it will when I put the next coat on, because that's just the base coat. Alright, we've given it a couple minutes, now let's put another coat on it. And you should start seeing the color come through. That's right, baby, Spectre Flame Blue. And you just keep adding coats until you get the color that you want, and then you stop. Alright, it's time to try to get this thing finished up. Again, this is in honor of Superbird Diecast grandfather. One of his favorite cars used to be a Porsche. Didn't have a old Porsche to work with because they hadn't come out in my area yet, so we're working with a newer one. So since we're working with new casting, I figured, well, let's put an old style paint job on it. And what says old more than Spectre Flame? So that's exactly what we did. We put a Spectre Flame paint job on this bad boy. I think it looks very, very cool. Of course, it's got a lot of fingerprint stuff on now that I'm going to have to wipe off, but I think it turned out really cool. Now all we have to do is some detail work. So that's what we're doing tonight. That's why I got these out. So we're going to try to put a little silver on the we're going I keep doing like this, and I need to be right here. We're going to try to put a little silver on the side mirrors. Of course, we're going to do the silver and white on the headlights, and we're going to try to do American version running lights on the front, which would be white with the amber turn signals on the sides. Then we're going to go black on this, and of course we're going to do the tail lights. Just seen something I'm kind of bummed about, but you know, this is a learning process, so I'm sorry, Superbird, but there's a little bit of shading on this, and I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is. I'm not going to point it out, but kind of bummed about it. But here we go. Let's start off with, I guess, the headlights. Alright, as I mentioned, the headlights need to be silver with white over them. So I'm just going to use the toothpick method because you'll never be able to tell the difference. And toothpicks work really good for getting in small areas. Let me move this before I turn it over. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and do the front markers in silver also, because this is going to be white over silver. So let's go ahead and do it. There's that one. That's simple. And then, like I said, I come back and just very lightly put white over it. Alright, it's looking pretty good. I'm satisfied with that. Get the amber in just a second. I want to go ahead and get the turn signals while I have the silver out. And I'm going to use a modified toothpick for this one. I actually filed it down so it gives me a nice small point. Because we do not need a lot of paint for this, because there's not much room to work with. Now we're going to do the red for the brake lights, which is just this section right here, right there. That's all we're going to be doing. Now I said it has to be. It doesn't really have to be. I mean, some of them are color matched. But if you look at the style of the cars back in the day, most of the time that was black. So that's why we're going back black. Alright, I don't know if this is going to work. I might have to come back and repaint the whole headlight. But we're going to try something. I've gotten it to work before, so I'm hoping it'll work this time. But we'll just have to see. Might be too wet to pull this off, but all we're going to do is just load up the tip of the brush, right, with white paint, and then just dab most of it off, and then we just want to touch the headlights. Just like that. And that gives the appearance that it's an actual headlight rather than just being solid chrome. Now I said I was going to stop with that, but I'm going to go ahead and do the wipers. Not a bunch, just a little bit. Right there with some flat black. And then I'll come back and hit the two arms themselves with silver. Over there will do you, they say. So I'm not touching anything on this painting. But there we go. I've got the headlights done. I went silver with dry brush and white over it. Got silver for the front turn signals, or running lights rather. Amber for the turn signals. Silver for the mirrors. Red for the brake lights. Now all we got to do is reassemble this thing, and this thing is going to be done, finished. I take that back. I got one more thing I'm going to do. One more thing. Well, let's see. What do we think? Porsche right in the middle? I think so. Or would it look better up there? Look at different sizes. I think a Porsche right in the middle would look good. Once you get it where you want it and everything, leave it alone. Well, there you have it, my entry into Superbird Diecast build-off in honor of his grandfather. Yeah, I took a new car and, put a vintage type paint job on it and some different wheels and a little bit of detailing. Didn't come out perfect, but we're all still learning. I'm still learning. But I think it turned out really good. What do you guys and gals think? Leave your comments below. And I would like to personally thank Superbird's Diecast for hosting this build off and for allowing me the opportunity to build it for them. Until next video, thanks for watching.